Hello and welcome to Midday Music from Christ Congregational Church in Brockton, Massachusetts. My name is Alison Read and I'm coming to you from Dallas, Texas, and I'll be playing the harp for you today. I want to thank Sylvia Berry for inviting me to be a part of this series, to Donna Costa for promoting the program, and to Jillian Larson for her technical assistance weaving all of these videos together. I was originally supposed to play for you back in February, but we had a series of winter storms that knocked out the power grid for most of us, and it was right in the middle of my recording, so I wasn't able to present the program to you then. So I've brought a few pieces forward from that program, and I have a few new transcriptions that I've done just for you today. So I hope you'll enjoy this diverse program. We'll start off with the great French harpist and composer Alphonse Hasselmann. He was born in Belgium in 1845 and studied at the Paris Conservatory, and he became the professor at the Paris Conservatory in 1884. And he was the teacher to many of the great harpists and teachers in the first part of the 20th century. He wrote books about how to write for the harp and how to do technique on the harp, and he also composed over 50 pieces for solo harp. So we'll start off with his Chanson de Mai, or May Song, and I hope you'll enjoy it. Now I'd like to tell you a little bit about the harp and how it works. This harp is a full concert grand harp, which is what you'll see in all of the major symphony orchestras. It has 47 strings, and down at the bottom we have 7 pedals. I'll get back to the pedals in a minute, but first I want to talk to you about the strings. Our strings are color-coded, so all of our red strings are C, and then all of our black strings are F. So we navigate around the entire instrument using just those 2 colors, just like the keyboardists use the 2 and 3 black key groups to find their way around. It's set up diatonically, so alphabetically after that, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And then we do all of our black keys in our feet, which are the pedals, of course. So we have 7 pedals, 1 for each note in the musical scale, A through G, and each pedal has 3 positions. Now, through the magic of technology, I'm going to get you really up close to see the pedals and how they work, but first I'm going to show you here how these pedals work. So here on the left we have our C pedal, and if we move our C string, we'll have C flat, C natural, and C sharp, all on the same string. If you look up here, you can see the discs are moving, and this is just like when a violinist or a guitarist puts their finger down on the fingerboard and it shortens the string so it raises the pitch. So C flat, the top of the string is up here. It's the longest length. Then C natural, we've moved the pedal into the middle, and now this is the top of the string. So we've shortened it by this much. C natural. And then we move it one more time down for C sharp, and now the top of the string is all the way down here, C sharp. So that's true on all of the strings. We move all the strings of that note name at the same time. So the F pedal, F flat, F natural, F sharp. And hopefully you can see those discs moving on the black strings. So it's a very complex machine. The pedals run underneath the harp and up through this column. This is actually hollow, and it's filled with 7 metal rods which are moving up and down according to the position of the pedals, and it pulls a series of chains which pulls these discs back and forth into position. So I can't usually do this in a live performance, but because I have you just sitting there in my phone, I'm going to bring the phone up close and I'm going to show you how all of that works. So be right back. All right, well, I've got you here on the floor with me, and I'm going to show you how all these pedals work. The pedals are not in alphabetical order, so we do them according to how it works harmonically, which means that it doesn't actually work out to be the alphabet. So the pedals in order are D, C, B, E, F, G, and all the way at the end there is A. So I'm going to go back to my C pedal, which I moved earlier, here on the left. And with our C string, you'll hear the sounds again. C flat, C natural, and C sharp. And if I don't play the string in between, because you can't see the strings, I could be playing different strings for all you know. But if I just play the string once and move the pedal, you'll hear it move. So that's how that works. So as I told you before, we're pulling a series of chains. I'm going to reorient you and put you where you can see the chains moving. Okay, so now we have you kind of tucked behind the column and the bottom string. Bottom string is right there, big red one. So here is the inside. This is what's hidden behind that metal plate, the curved arch. We call this the harmonic curve, or the neck of the instrument. And I'm going to move the F pedal, which is the 3rd one, over here. It's going to be that chain right there. Oops, it's probably the better way to see it. And as I move this, you're also going to see these discs move up here. So hopefully you can see all of that when I move the pedals. That's just a little inside look at the harp. We don't usually get to bring the audience quite this close, but I think it's kind of interesting, and I know that you've got some people who know things about how instruments are built, so you can kind of see those chains running all the way through there and back. They go back up under that curve as the harp goes up. So that's a little bit about how the harp works. The second selection on today's program was written by one of Hasselmann's most famous students, Carlos Salcedo. Salcedo was born in 1885 in the Basque region of France, and he studied at the Paris Conservatory under Hasselmann. In 1909, he moved to the United States at the invitation of Arturo Toscanini to play for the Metropolitan Opera Orchestra in New York City. While living in New York, he established the harp department at the school which would become the Juilliard School of Music, and also at the Curtis Institute of Music in Philadelphia. Salcedo was a revolutionary and really pushed the boundaries of what we could do with the harp. He loved to explore the different sound colors that we could get, and he wrote rather avant-garde music. Even today, his music sounds pretty new, I think. In the summer, he would retreat from the city, which was always hot, and of course there's no air conditioning in the first part of the 20th century. So he would retreat to coastal Maine, where he had homes first in Seal Harbor, outside of what is now Acadia National Park, and later in Camden, where he established a school for students to come from all over the world to study with him. The piece that you'll hear is from 1927. It's his Chanson dans la nuit, the song in the night. And in this piece, he explores the different sounds that we hear at night. Not probably most of us. Most of us hear traffic, and we hear the TV, and we hear all kinds of man-made noises. But in 1927, when this piece was written, we heard the natural world at night. So from his house in Seal Harbor, where he wrote this, he could hear the waves coming up on the shore. And then he could also hear all the little night creatures moving around. So we start off with a very famous sound effect on the harp, the glissando. We play it as written. And then later we'll play the glissando itself with the nails and with the finger. So after that, you'll hear the waves and we have the wind coming through the leaves. We'll hear the different night creatures moving around, and they all have little different sounds and little different motives. So I'll do some playing at the bottom of the strings, which is a little drier sound than what you hear normally in the middle of the string. I'll also play with my fingernails at the bottom of the string, which is a different sound. And I'll also play harmonics, which is to play the top half of the string, creates a beautiful bell-like sound. There it is. And the natural sound is an octave lower. So after we hear all the little night creatures moving around, we'll go into town and there's a dance party going on. It'll be very clear when we get to the dance music, and you can sort of imagine kind of the swishing of the skirts with some of the sound effects that you'll hear. And as we come in closer, eventually towards the end of that section, you'll hear the dancers' feet on the dance floor. And I'll be tapping on the soundboard for that. After that, you'll hear the church bells chiming, telling everyone it's time to wrap it up and go home. And then we go back out through the wind and the leaves and the waves. So I hope you'll enjoy this wonderful picturesque piece, Salcedo's Song in the Night. Our next two selections are by the British composer Dame Ethel Smythe. Smythe is a wonderful figure in music history. She was born to an affluent English family in 1858. She did a lot of traveling as a young girl and decided in her teens that she wanted to pursue music as a professional career. Her father was not supportive of this idea, but she would sneak out to go to London to attend concerts. Even though her parents didn't give her any money to do so, she found ways to get friends to pay for her or borrow money so that she could buy a ticket to see the concerts. At the age of 19, her father finally relented and allowed her to go to Leipzig to study at the conservatory. And this was all the rage at that time, as the conservatory there had been founded by Felix Mendelssohn, who was very popular in England at that time. After about a year of study at the conservatory, she decided to study privately, counterpoint and harmony, and really traveled in the upper echelons of society. She recognized that it was because of her connections in society that her music was performed and was supported. And she was a wonderful, passionate supporter of other women and their pursuits, not just in music, but also in the suffragette movement. She wrote music supporting the women's movement in the early part of the 20th century. Her March for Women is actually being performed by my brother-in-law's choir this week as well, the Wisconsin Chamber Choir. If you go over to YouTube, you can hear this work. And this was sung not just in the concert halls, but actually in the prison yard while Smythe was imprisoned for disrupting the peace during a demonstration for women's rights. So she's a wonderful, colorful character, and I hope you'll enjoy these two pieces. These are two early organ chorales. The first is Raise Yourself Up to Your God, and the second is Appeared is the Glorious Day. Our next three selections are by another female composer, this time an American one, Florence Price. Price was born in 1888 in Little Rock, Arkansas, to affluent African-American parents. Her mother was an organist and piano teacher, and her father was a dentist. Price was given a very classical education, and her family attended an integrated church where she heard the music of Bach, Vaughan Williams, and Mendelssohn. And this was her inspiration as a musician growing up. She was a gifted pianist from a young age, and in 1904 went to the New England Conservatory of Music in Boston, where in a class of 2,000 students, she was the only one to have a double major in both organ performance and piano pedagogy. After hearing her perform, the head of the conservatory, George Chadwick, invited her to study composition with him as well. Price became a prolific composer, writing over 300 works, including symphonies and chamber works and many songs, which may be what we know her best for today. Her works were performed by both Leontine Price and Marian Anderson, and in 1932 she won the Wanamaker Composition Competition, and the next year, in 1933, her first symphony was performed by the Chicago Symphony Orchestra at the World's Fair, making her the first African-American woman to have her works performed by a major symphony orchestra. However, all of her life, she had to struggle to have her works recognized and performed by orchestras. She wrote letter after letter asking people to look past her flaws of being both a woman and an African-American and listen to the music on its own merits. She was a piano teacher and a church organist, and the pieces that I'll play for you now were originally written for solo piano. The first two are taken from the February program of spirituals. The first one is I Want Jesus to Walk With Me, and the second one is Swing Low, Sweet Chariot. The third selection is one of her many, many waltzes with sort of whimsical names. This one is called Waltzing on a Sunbeam, and this is a new transcription for harp. So I hope you'll enjoy these three works by Florence Price. The final selection today is from the 1945 Broadway musical Carousel by Rodgers and Hammerstein. In this song, You'll Never Walk Alone, Julie's husband has just been killed and she's wondering how she can carry on without him. Her cousin Nellie sings her this song as a way of supporting her and giving her hope for the future. In my own family history, this is a special song as my father played this for my mother when they were courting. So I hope you'll enjoy You'll Never Walk Alone from Carousel.